I'd say about 70% do better and improve from what you.
That's way better than our current middle school and high school kids are doing.
Anybody we show those graphs to are just amazed. They can't believe the difference.
We're standing here with Austin Dragon, one of the board members of the Strive After School program and facility.
Clearly, as a board member, I would definitely direct him here to get involved in some way, whether financially or volunteering.
Have you had parents and kids come back and just say thank you for all that you've done?
Mm-hmm. We have kids in every classroom. We have kids and teachers who actually come to us and say, well, you're doing such a phenomenal job.
Tonight on Newswire L.A., we're taking you on a tour of this wonderful facility known as Strive. It's been described as an oasis in the middle of a desert. While touring, you'll learn more about Strive's incredible mission in this area. All of this and more coming up right after the credits. We've introduced you to Jim and Don, who are the creative force behind Strive, and we've introduced you to their teachers and board members. Tonight, we're walking around this facility to see what they do on a daily basis. And now, our Tricia Mitchell and Strive's Don Anderson.
So we created this kind of environment so that when they come in, they know immediately it changes any attitude. If they've had a bad day, which a lot of them do, put it beside you for now. You're at Strive. And the smiles come in. We're very demonstrative. We hug children. We listen to their problems. We're like, parents away from home. When they first come in, they sign in with a sign-in sheet. They're greeted by a greeter. We start the day by finding out if there's any problems, how they're doing, and then we go in. The first hour that they're here from 2:30 to about 3:30 is playtime and snacks. So we give them time to rewind, or we're not rewind, but decompose. What's the word? Not decompose. Decompress. Shuck off all the bad days, let it all go, have fun, let your hair down, and get ready. Because when our bell rings, which we use a little triangle,
Like the old school.
like the old days, exactly, it's time to get to business. Time to get to work.
And when they get to business, exactly what did they start with first? Because you only have about how many hours?
Well, they're actually here for 3 hours. It's like 45 minutes to an hour for playtime. We do 1 hour of homework help. We found out early on that a lot of kids would not come if they couldn't get their homework done. Because as you mentioned prior, a lot of the parents can't help them with homework because they can't read and help get to the homework. So we have to devote at least an hour to that. After that, we do direct teaching. When our kids first come in, we give them an assessment test, which is based on the California standards, to find out what level they are. And in schools, they're usually in the grade that their age is, but academically they're not there. So what we do is with our test, we find out what they need help with, and that's where we tutor them. We had a vice principal that used to work for Strive a few years ago, and when she came in, she always lofty ideas about what she was going to do. And just seeing the test results and working with the kids, she realized we have to go back to basics. Like Jim mentioned earlier, a lot of our students, 6th, 7th grade, didn't know what state they lived in, what the country was, what ocean was bordering our, none of these things. They didn't know how to tell time on a face clock. So just simple things they couldn't accomplish. So we said, we're going back to basics. So if it's math, we start at the beginning and we work our way up. Reading is a high priority, and just the basics of where you live, what state, what country. We talk about America in depth, just letting them know that this is the country they're in.
Once they enter here and they sign in, and they come down the walkway here.
Come in.
So they walk by the big chief's office.
They walk by. They ask him, "What is Mr. Teacher?" I said, "He's like the principal. Think of him as the principal, and I'm the vice principal." So they can understand that.
Okay, and we come here to this open space after, of course, we leave a wall lined with quotes and Declaration of Independence and Founding Fathers, all of that. And they come here to the open space that's full of
Computers. Now,
sitting
what they
space
do on
and
the computers, we have games that they're able to play on. We don't allow Facebook and the internet just per se with those things that we can't police it. So they play there. We have checkers, chess, card games, board games. Kids may sit on the couch and just look at their little iPods or whatever electronic device they have. Ping pong. They move out into the courtyard where they also have volleyball, dodgeball, jump rope, just things to be
just
active.
time to
Just-
release before they get
Exactly, before they
into
get into the
their
hard stuff.
homework. I noticed you have a piano.
Yes, we were fortunate to have 2 pianos donated to us. A few years ago, we did have a music teacher that came in and taught music. But what we did with that, as well as with when we had the dance program, is we were trying to bring students in like a little hook to also come to the academic program. But they were only interested in the dance or the music. And they wouldn't come to the academic portion, so we had to drop it.
Okay.
Because that was more important to us.
And you have a huge TV.
Yes, we
What
put
do they
that.
normally? What do you normally play on TV for the kids to watch?
After we ring our bell, which is here, our triangle, the kids come in at about 3:15, 3:30, and we have an assembly where the whole student body sits. Me, the teachers, Mr. Tetro, we have a assembly where we talk about issues of the day. We have a subject, it may be America, which is what we finished with last session. Whatever's in the news, it just question and answer, it just depends. We prepare questions or assemblies where they are direct lessons teaching them whatever it happens to be. I can't say what they are, whatever comes up. From there, we dismiss them orderly and they go into their individual classrooms.
And how many classrooms in total do you have?
We do have first through high school.
Okay.
First through high school. The classroom which we'll show over there is for our 5th graders. The one there is for middle school, 6th through 8th. The area here is designated for our high schoolers, or anybody who's more advanced that doesn't need the direct teaching. They'll just come drop in, get help on the computers, ask questions if they need help with math, and that's where they do their work.
What was this before you got a chance to build it out?
This used to be a sewing factory in the 50s. And when we first found this property, it had cords hanging from the ceiling which were attached to sewing machines. And years later, a grandmother came in with her grandchild, and said, I used to work here when it was a sewing factory from the neighborhood, which we didn't know. Because when we got it, the owner had used it as a warehouse where he was warehousing certain things. But that's what the building was, a sewing factory in the 50s.
We've shown you many of the hotel-like amenities Jim and Don have built into this facility. Look at this simple fountain, and look at the restrooms the students use each and every day. We're heading outside to what's known as Ruby Court.
Ruby Court. Tell me about Ruby Court.
Ruby Court. Ruby is Jim's grandmother. And she was very influential on him growing up as a child. So he wanted to pay homage to his grandmother, and he named our courtyard after her. Now, what you see here, when our properties were donated, this was a dilapidated warehouse, and this was a wood putty factory, this site. And none of the greenery that you see was here. We planted everything that's in this courtyard, and you'll see some of the photos of what it looked like.
Okay.
The Ruby Court plaque is affixed to a larger structure which was very common in Los Angeles and other cities. This is an incinerator. In the days before refuse collection, people burned their garbage using these incinerators. They contributed to Los Angeles' poor air quality and were eventually replaced by today's refuse collection methods. Rarely do you see an intact incinerator, and when you find one, consider yourself lucky.
This here is where Jim originally started the program. It was the after-school program where we had 10 or 12 kids. It's now our teacher's office
Oh, okay.
program. But we had desks lined up around, and Jim on his own would go to schools and pick kids up, and then they would come here and he'd help them with homework. This is what we call the cottage. This classroom houses our 1st and 2nd graders. We have a student teacher at each table that helps. It's harder with those kids because they're rambunctious.
Keep.
Okay, and so we found out that it works best to have one teacher with maybe 5 or 6 students. It helps keep them in control and whatnot. And so that goes on here. Again, the first hour with homework and then direct teaching.
I like the idea of the round tables.
You're able to manage them much better.
Okay.
If you have one teacher sit with them, they're able to look at what they're working
Right.
on and go.
I was actually thinking more in the concept of roundness being as one and learning together.
It may work.
Kind of like they do back east
Yeah,
in
instead of
college.
the
They
little
have their,
individuals.
yeah, where the teacher's dictating, they sit at a round table. I think you absorb more.
Might, yeah. We haven't thought of that, but
teaching.
that might be working.
Okay.
Now, what we had to do in the early days is that this used to be the full classroom, but we've had so many students sign up that we had to separate them. So we built this divider. Now we have second grade here and first grade there. Now, the other thing I didn't mention on the other side, when the students come in and are tested, we segregate them by their ability, not necessarily the grade they're in at school. So we may have first graders that are doing well enough to be with the second grade group and second graders who haven't advanced enough, and so they have to stay with the first grade group.
And I hear a lot of chirping.
Yes. Over the years, again, donated. We had rescues of animals. You know, parents give children animals all the time, and they have them for a couple of weeks, and then they don't want them anymore. So they started bringing them to us. And the first one was this large turtle here, which was named Angel. And we said, well, we have her now. She was in a bucket for a couple of weeks until we decided to build a pond. So the students helped dig the ground and develop this, and so now we have her, and since then, 3 more have shown up. This here is our animal and art room. This is another cat that was rescued. This is Tiger, and the kids named all the animals. We have a snake, which they walk around and hold, as you can see pictures of them there. When kids come from school with art projects, this is the area they use them, or they utilize the space for that. We also, when we need the space, we will do teaching in the school as well.
Okay. And what's upstairs?
That is a little loft where teachers go to a quiet space to read with the kids. This is Karma. This is Karma.
Karma. Ooh.
She's something. They're all 3 different little individual personalities.
Other animals housed in this enclosure include fish, hamsters, and gerbils. All of these for the children to enjoy and take care of.
So this is your large.
Yeah, this is a large room here. It holds about 38 students.
Wow.
And again, we have 3rd, 4th grade, depending on their level. And there's normally 2 lead teachers to take care of this room with 1 or 2 other student teachers that are just sort of going around helping with the homework.
Usually how many come on a daily basis?
We have about 115 that show up every day. About 115. And we have a waiting list. This is our room for 3rd graders. Now this room was full, it was a large room, and we had to start segregating it because we had needed space. So we chopped it up,
So you're separating it.
yeah, so that we can have another classroom, because the numbers just started growing over time, and now we're thinking about doing the same thing on the end, just to accommodate more second graders.
I said, where are we now?
This is our
I feel
little
like
library.
I feel like I've been touring for about an hour now.
Yeah, like a little library.
Very
We had these books donated about 5 years ago from a Jewish organization. This room has been many things over the years, but it's now the library and also tutoring. A lot of our students are really low. They're much lower than even the 2 grades below. So we segregate them here, you know, part of the time, and give them direct teaching.
I see a Judy Blume book. I grew up reading Judy Blume, which is
Okay.
why let's see which one we have here. Ah, Summer Sisters. This must be a newer version.
Maybe so.
Hello, Margaret. No, what was I can't even
I don't
remember. It's been so
remember
long
those
ago. Hello, God. My name is Margaret. Yeah. Judy Blume. Yeah, Judy Blume is.
Well, now here, just to point out, I mentioned our Strive rules, student rules. These are the things they earn points for, or lose points, I should say. Be considerate of others, use your manners, and be thankful. Keep Strive clean. No running in the buildings when the bell rings. Sit quietly in your seat until called upon. Raise your hand when you have a question or comment. Be courteous to all teachers, classmates, and visitors. Listen closely and follow all instructions without comment. Turn lights and water off when leaving the restrooms. No gum chewing while inside Strive. No electronic devices without permission. No hats or hoods worn while inside Strive.
Don takes great pride in this place. This is Strive's main kitchen. Snacks are dispensed through the window, along with teaching that actually takes place within the walls of this kitchen area.
I'm very highly involved in nutrition. I'm a great cook. So I wanted to give these kids something. They never tasted certain things. Before we left, we brought artichokes in. They never had an artichoke. Things that we take for granted, they've never experienced. It's either pizza or hamburgers or the rest of the things. So we're cooking chicken pasta and some nice things that they get to eat. We also try to make sure that it's healthy snacks that we give them at the window. They appreciate that. Sometimes we'll have an extra thing where they have to use their Strive bucks to purchase. But again, we don't like giving them something for nothing.
Right.
We have fundraising events we can cater here
Right.
and do it from this kitchen. I'd love to have a commercial stove so I can really cook. Now, one of the other things we do with the kitchen, I used to do a few years ago cooking class. And I'd bring the older kids, 3rd grade and up, and we'd come in and start learning about cooking. First, etiquette at the table, how to fold napkins, how you sit at a table, what fork, spoon. They know none of that as well. These are things we took for granted because I was taught by my parents how to go to a restaurant, and we find out that a lot of the kids have never been or don't know those common courtesies. And what, again, we're trying to do is prepare them for the rest of the world, not just the inner city. Because a lot of them have told us they're embarrassed to go to some of these places because they don't know how to act.
Right.
So we spend a lot of our time doing that. Now, also part of the kitchen is that we now are doing a bakery. We started making chocolate chip cookies for our students, which what they purchase, just a little fundraising thing. And we have the idea, why not expand it? I'm a good cook. And we started making gourmet pastries as well. So in the lobby, every evening, there's maybe 100 or so different types of pastries, and they're sold out most of the time, every day.
And that's it for our tour of Strive.
And what I like about Strive the most is that, because I look at the schools, even the brand new ones that they're building, and they look like prisons.
Very sterile.
Very industrial,
Yeah, very, I say prison, you
Yeah.
say industrial, I'm gonna call it like I see it.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
It's like a prison, and you can't, you need creativity. You need to be in an environment where something was created for the purpose of enjoyment so that you can learn. If you're walking into an establishment that's just all dry and still, and it's just, you're too busy thinking or focused on something else, and you need to be relaxed so that the information can rest in your being, you can process it, and then regurgitate it, whether it be a test or verbally or written.
Right. It's the environment.
Right,
that we
completely
create.
the environment.
And a lot of them even call it their secret garden when they go outside, and it feels like home. They don't want to leave. A lot of the kids don't want to go home at the end of the day. And we've had many children come in with a smile on their face. They'll come into Mr. Teacher's office and they'll sit and talk to him, and he'll one-on-one occasionally with some of them. And within 5 minutes, the jaw starts